Hello my dear YouTuber friends, and I do hope you're all keeping well. Welcome to this new video. This is Back to Basics with Microsoft Flight Sim Part 33. In this one we're looking at ILS approaches again, but this time in the G3000. I'm actually in the TBM 930. I've been flying this aircraft for the past day or so, getting back into it. So in this video I'm going to talk you through the setup, how to set up the G3000 for an ILS approach into your chosen runway. Okay, so let's not dilly-dally, let's get on with this video. So here we go, we're set up on Southend Airport. I believe that's Echo Golf Mike Charlie EGMC. I'm going to travel over to Heathrow Airport, similar to what we did in our previous Back to Basics video. Only this time we're using the TBM 930 and the G3000s. Okay, so there's a couple of caveats with this default aircraft. I do have the working title, I believe it's a working title mod for the TBM 930 installed. Maybe only for PC. I'm not sure it makes all that difference, it's still a bit finicky. But I'm going to guide you through this as best I can. First thing you want to do is come down to your center G3000 screen. These are a little bit different to your G1000. These are more touch screens. Select the MFD option here just by clicking this button here, MFD. There we go. And I'm going to go to full here to make that map full screen. I don't want a traffic thing here. So I'm going to click on full. I don't make the map full screen. And, well, so in MFD, go to flight plan. And here's where the touchscreen facilities of this aircraft come into play. Origin Airport. So we're going to type in EGMC. It should come up Southend here. You want to click on the enter button down here to enter that. And destination. So EGLL. It should come up again. Heathrow. Click on the enter button. So, whilst we're in this screen, we can go on flight plan options here, click on that, and click on show on map. There you go, it just gives us a straight route from Southend to Heathrow Airport. Nothing difficult there. Click on your back button up here. If you've not used the G3000s before, it can be quite, well, it can be a little bit trickier if you're coming from the G1000s. But what we're going to do, we're going to click on this destination EGLL box down here, and we're going to click select arrival runway. Don't worry about the departure runway for this particular video. We're just going to choose our arrival runway, which is runway 27 left at Heathrow. And this will fill in a few details for us later, which I'll get to later. So that's filled in. EGLL, runway 27 left. We're going to click on that box again, destination box again. This time we're going to select approach. Click select approach. Similar to what we did in the last video. We're going to select an ILS approach 27 left. Transition, instead of vectors, like I showed you last time, big is actually on the way. It's pretty much on our flight path. So I'm going to choose that, and it will put in all the sequences down to our final for 27 left. We're going to choose load in this case. We're going to load that. And it will come up again, not approved for GPS. Don't worry about that. Just click OK. And again, go to flight plan options and show on map. And there you go, it's exactly the same route we did on our last video, our last Back to Basics video. And it's the same vectors onto runway 27 left. It's a little bit different with the G3000s here, as I'm going to show you. You can see we're going to use VNAV on this as well. You can see the first transition is 7,000 feet. So in that case, let me get back to my default view. Scroll in a bit. You got an altitude select knob here. I've got my auto panel. It's a lot quicker to do this with, with the multi-panel that I've got attached to my Logitech multi-panel. But you can use that knob if you want. It just might take... Oh, yeah, no, I can get there pretty quick. Let's use the knob. Doesn't matter for this part. Get to 10,000 feet. With the TBM... There we go. A couple more multi-panel time. It's just a bit easier with that. With the the TBM 930, if you're starting from cold and dark, one thing I would suggest you do at least, you see this AP trim up here, put this to on, otherwise you may find that when you're selecting autopilot it may not turn on, so make sure that's turned on. And what we can do, get back to my default view, we can just throttle up and take off. And the TBM 930, if you've not tried this aircraft, default aircraft, it's well worth trying. It's like an overpowered GA aircraft. Very nice to fly, gets you from A to B in no time at all. We can let it, we've got flaps 1, takeoff flaps selected. It's going to lift off the runway itself. I'm going to ease it up a little bit more and raise my landing gear. Going to actually take my flaps up as well. Get back in the cockpit. I might need to trim up a wee bit, just a little bit. No, it's holding positive rate of climb. Autopilot on, and you can do this from a panel here. I'm just doing it from my multi-panel. Nav selected. In the G3000 here, you'll see FMS in green. That's instead of the nav, basically GPS in the G1000. It's the same thing, so FMS there. We'll go solid green. We're locked onto our course. We'll climb up to 10,000 feet, and I'll bring you back when we're nearer to that altitude. Okay, so as you can see, we're approaching our 10,000 feet altitude. Bit of a cloudy day over the southeast of England. Today and yesterday have been similar. Better days are ahead, apparently. Right, so as you can see, one thing you want to make sure of here as we get to our 10,000 feet, under your active flight plan, so this page is on your MFD, this is the home page, go to flight plan, so that's this page here. Click on the VNAV button down here, ensure that VNAV is enabled. It should be by default. It will even give us a top of descent there as well. Now as you can see, it's saying the projected altitude is 3,500 feet. That's actually wrong. Our first projected altitude is 7,000 feet. I'm going to alter via my multi-panel actual assigned autopilot altitude to 7,000 feet. And I'm going to click on the VNAV button, vertical navigation here, and it will give us a path button up here. Now, if we get back to VNAV, you can see that's changed. It's now saying our first active waypoint, VNAV waypoint, is 7,000 feet, which is big here. Follow this rather than the projected altitude. I don't know if that's a fault with the TBM 390. I know a few of you do own the Vision Jet, which I believe also uses the G3000. I just believe this is a bit finicky, but I'm going to show you how I operate the VNAV profile on the ILS Approach. And it seems to work fine so far. So I'm going to keep you here for a moment. Top of descent is only a minute away, so there's no need to stop. You can see now this has changed to 7,000. This is incorrect. We need to change this. Otherwise, this could ruin our VNAV descent onto the ILS. So I'm going to click on this second one here. We don't want these the same value. I'm going to click on this box, and I can change this to something like 5,000 feet. And click on the enter button here. There you go. Now it's going to put us in better stead, as you'll see. We've got a top of descent coming up here. Our bottom of descent The way to reach that, you'll see our bottom of descent won't be here on the 7000. It'll be more, well, I'll show you in a moment. So we'll let this continue. It's a bit trickier, I've noticed this, and it just may be down to this specific aircraft. It's a bit finicky, as you'll see. There you go, top of descent's coming up now. VPAF has gone green, and it's following the VNAV profile, so the autopilot's actually calculating what's the best vertical speed profile to keep us on that VPAF profile, which it's doing there. Now, bottom of descent, there you go, it's actually on Big 9 here, which if we go back here, Big 9 is here, 5,000 feet. So even though this is saying 7,000 feet, I'm going to alter my autopilot assigned altitude to 5,000, because that's the VNAV profile it's following. It's a bit more difficult, a bit more advanced to follow this one, guys, so keep up. Rewind the video if you need to. But our bottom of descent is not here, it's here, which is this 5,000 feet value. So don't worry, it'll just stay under VPAF descent here, and it will keep descending to that 5,000 feet, as you'll see. I'm going to keep you here on this one. Take a look outside. There were rainbows before. People think I'm nuts. I'm always discovering rainbows where other people can't see it, even if we're on a multiplayer flight in live weather. Never mind, they may reappear. Anyway, I'm just going to slow my aircraft down, bring that throttle down. It's a nippy aircraft, this. You do have to watch it. What's going on here? Never mind, we're going to stick to this profile. 5,000 feet. It will follow this line, I hope, rather than this line. Not quite sure what's going on here. Each time I do this, it seems to change slightly, so we'll see if this follows through. But when we get to big here, we want to get to big 90, or 9.0, which it should lock onto in a moment. And there you go, it's changed, so our projected altitude now, there you go, it's locking onto this one now, is the projected altitude has now changed to 5,000 feet. We're following that VNAV profile under autopilot down to our bottom of descent here. We're going to keep that going. We've got a couple of minutes to that bottom of descent, but we'll keep this going. And we'll just scroll, use your buttons here up and down to scroll through your flight plan. Our next descent phase would be 3,500. I'm going to set that in a moment, in fact, our assigned autopilot altitude, once we get near to that bottom of descent. There you go, the other nonsense is cleared up now. I think there's just a bit of inconsistency, shall we say, with this TBM 930 G3000. Doesn't seem to behave, it is a default aircraft, doesn't seem to behave correctly. Once again, those with the Vision jets, let me know. You can probably descend all the way down, set your autopilot assigned altitude to 2,500. You can't do that in this aircraft. It messes up your VPAF profile. So there we go. 5,000 feet is flashing here now. We're getting towards that. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to set us our autopilot altitude down to our 3,500 feet. It's our next point on our VNAV profile. And don't worry, this will make sense once it gets towards that bottom of descent here. And if not, I'm going to show you a way to intercede here to get it flying down to our 2,500 feet eventually. So there we go, we're going to reach our bottom of descent here. Just going to keep an eye on the instrument, slow myself down again. I want to get down towards stage 1 flaps. It's basically 3 stages of flaps: up, takeoff flaps and landing flaps in the TBM 390. Get us to that screen. There you go. So it's clear there. VPath profile is staying green, but is it going to follow us down? Let's just see. It has now got top of descent and bottom of descent. So the top of descent showing. You'll see the bottom of descent will now show on our final fix, which is 2,500. So our final fix here, FF2000, which is there, is 2,500. Let's get back to that VNAV profile page. So we're about to go into VNAV descent again. So it's going to follow that down. You'll see overlaid here, by the way. That's our localizer 1 overlaid on our basically our nav course, so our FMS in this case. The VNAV is overlaid. It's even entered the correct nav frequency for ILS 27 left as well. So we didn't need to input that, which is great. So I'm gonna, once this flashes, I'm gonna amend our autopilot selected altitude to 2,500 feet, which is our bottom of descent profile, which is basically going to lead us in. There we go. I'm going to select 2,500 now. I'll set it to 2,500 feet now. And you'll see this will change in a moment, and it will continue to bring us down to our 2,500 feet bottom of descent profile. It's a bit finicky, guys, and it's the only way I could get this working with the TBM 390, but it does work and it does bring you down. Let's bring our speed way down, something like 25% speed to get us towards that flaps 1. So the white taper on the speed ribbon here. So there we go, glide slope indicated there as well. That will come up above us, which is where it should be. We're not on our final fix yet. Gonna wait for this, watch this. This should change to 2,500. Bringing us down to our bottom of descent, which is here. There we go, we're getting towards stage 1 flaps. I'll probably get us into that before our final fix. I'm just going to keep an eye on the localizer and glide slope here. It's all in white, so it's overlaid on top of the FMS on essentially a GPS equivalent on the G1000. And the CDI knob here is this soft key here, active nav. Basically that's your CDI equivalent in the TBM here. So let's go to stage 1 flaps. Get us slow down. Basically takeoff flaps and then landing flaps. And the aircraft will turn. It's going to keep us at the higher of these ranges, by the way. It'll keep us at 3,500 feet, because that's... There you go, now it's changed to 3,000, and eventually it will go down to 2,500, the projected, but it will stick. If it levels out, it will level out at the higher of these two ranges here. Or these two values, rather. As we turn, I'm going to watch our localizer 1 course deviation line. Once that starts to come in, I'm going to change this to localizer 1 and click the approach button. Why is that not highlighting? It is now. Great. There you go. I'm going to change that. And I'm going to click approach. Our localizer has gone green, so it's locked onto our localizer 1 range there. This will continue to bring us down. Glide slope is white. Once the glide slope indicator comes towards center, that will turn green, and we'll be on for an approach to runway 27 left. Better pop outside. Ooh. Goodness me, London. I mean, we've got clear skies on the south coast at the moment. Poor old London. If that's accurate, that's not very nice. Gonna bring my gear down as well, I guess. There we go. And pop back inside the aircraft to see what's happening. There you go, 2,500 projected altitude. It's gonna carry us, bring us down now. We're locked onto localizer 1. Still under, you've got all the vertical navigation symbology still up here. Don't worry, this will change in a moment. And then this will go green, hopefully. And we'll be locked onto our glide slope. Speed is fine. Landing flaps. So there you go, landing flaps. Keep an eye on the speed here. There you go. Glide slope gone green, flashing green now. That's gone green. We'll be locked onto our glide slope, and we can come down to our runway. So we can go back on that. We don't need that any longer. Just watch my speed there. Don't want to be too slow that I'm going to stall. Can we see the runway? Yikes. What's our decision altitude? Oh, let's call it 1,000 feet, hypothetically. There you go, speed's okay, let's just see. Well, actually, we should be in that view, shouldn't we? Not outside the blooming aircraft. Just seeing if we can spot the runway. Let this continue now. So full autopilot control. Like I said, that was a bit finicky. I've only been practicing with this for the past day. Less than 24 hours and not consistently. Obviously I've slept and done other things between that. I've just practiced a few flights. This is the way I can get it down under ILS and VNAV. It's basically by doing the sort of your altitude select in stages, following the profile set up on the flight plan there, and it does seem to work. So if you've been having difficulties with this, maybe try this method. It does seem to work fine. But I'm assuming something like the Vision Jet will be far more straightforward, where you can enter your bottom altitude straight away and it'll follow it down. Doesn't seem to do it in this default aircraft. And as you saw before, there was a few artifacts which I don't think should have been there, to be honest, but never mind. Practicing this on other ILS approaches as well, just to ensure it all behaves correctly. There you go, runway in sight just about, and we're over 1,500 feet, so we'll carry on with the landing, of course. What a day. Oh dear. So well worth trying. Default aircraft, you don't need to pay for this one. Fun aircraft to fly, and the G3000s are fun to use. This one's a bit finicky, but still fun to use. And I do want to carry on this series, chaps. I mean, the Cessna 182RG, the Garmin system in that, is that the 450 or 750 or something? I do want to practice similar in that one as well. So watch out for another Back to Basics video coming. As promised, I did say I'll look at different Garmin systems. Although I'm by far not an expert with the G3000 here. There we go, coming towards the runway, full flaps, landing gear down. And we'll be down in no time at all. Still using my Logitech flight yacht system, so if my landings, hopefully, well, it should be okay. I'll just get over the threshold of the runway. What's the worst that can happen? Yeah, still using my Logitech flight yacht system while I've got it on my desk. I'm just getting the best use out of it. I'm missing now my XPC yoke. I do enjoy that. So that will be back on my desk ASAP. Now, are these marks on my monitor? Or no, it's on the window screen. I was looking at them thinking my monitor's dirty. It's actually marks on the glass screen here on the TBM. Front screen here. It's like their shield. Right. So all's going well. I've seen some lovely sights flying around over the past few days with these cloud layers. And you can do a transatlantic. The first flight I did practicing yesterday was from Charles de Gaulle to Heathrow, so and it doesn't take long in the TBM, so you can even do a cross-country trans-channel flights per se. Coming towards the runway now, so autopilot will go off in a moment. Just bring my speed down. Speed's actually good. We're just above stall speed, which is ideal. And once we get over the threshold, well, that autopilot can come off now. And bring us down gently. Don't think I have my landing rate loaded on this, but I'll just give us a nice smooth landing anyway. Floaty, floaty, there we go, we're down, we're down. Right. And yes, okay. It's funny, someone made a comment. I'm sure ATC will be happy with you if you just park your aircraft on the edge of the runway. I'm sure they will be. You've got to keep in mind, chaps, this is a sim. Oh, you know what? Why be lazy? There's a sort of taxiway. Well, there's a little bay here we can park in. There we go. Will that appease you? Probably not. So there you go, chaps. That's my back to basics video performing an ILS approach with the G3000s. Do give this a practice if you're not used to flying the TBM 930. It's a fun aircraft. Let me know your thoughts on the video. Give it a like if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe for more. I'm going to do more videos in this Garmin series on different Garmins, so watch out for them. And I'll see you soon.